Okay, let's talk about the project, the business plan project. On December 11th, you will complete the last of the regular homework assignments for the semester. So, what remains is your project, about a month-long project. I've already posted a video that presents an introduction to the project, the contents of the project. This is going to be a boy, it better be more brief video discussing the specifics. I will post all of these documents. By the time you see this, they'll all be posted on Canvas under the folder, in the files section under the folder for the project. In this video, we'll look at three different documents. We'll look at the business plan and the contents and the due dates, which are very important. There'll be three different due dates plus your oral presentation. And with the online nature of the class, Mitch and I are still discussing exactly how we need to address that so that it's the most available for you and yet also is a reasonable requirement for you. So the oral presentation, I'll mention it briefly here, but most of it will be something that we'll get into more detail here in the coming few days. You don't have to worry about that. It'll be after Thanksgiving, so no sweat on that. Okay, I'll also, did I say expectations? I'm going to talk about the expectations of your business plan. And these are not the contents, but this is expectations in terms of your performance. And finally, the third document we will look at is the grading rubric. So we will discuss, and I will show you exactly what you'll be graded on the document itself. So here we go. Let's begin by just looking at the contents of the business plan. And here it is. You will have an executive summary, although that is not due until the final input, and you'll see that here in just a little bit. But the executive summary is very important, and I'll talk more about writing that. So the first thing will be a business description where you will describe the company's mission, your company's mission. Remember, this is your organization that you're creating. You're creating a business plan that will serve as a springboard for forming your dream organization. So this will include the company's mission and vision statements, as well as goals and objectives to be achieved by the company. Goals such as make money and put food on the table, those sorts of things. That's not what we're talking about here. An overall strategic direction, a summary, why you started the business, once again, making money, wanting to have a home on the Mediterranean. That's not it. Describe in reasonable detail the product or the service that you're offering for your company. And the business model is something this whole thing is business plan. Your business model is the we'll talk about it in class, but this is the how does your business operate? So how will you function as a business? And then the value proposition is, how are you going to make money? Where do you make your money? How do you make it? This is this first part, and in particular these last two, the business model and the value proposition, are things that would attract investors. Something an investor would really like to know specifically about your company in general. And then an industry analysis. So this is an analysis of the industry, the segment of the construction industry that you intend to be in. And we've mentioned this a little bit in class. We'll talk about it a little bit more. The size of this particular industry, the segments, maturity, major competitors, what's their market share, measuring that, what are the trends and the outlooks for the industry, uh, what are your competitive advantages, what will those be? Your management plan, this is your management organization for the company, how you're going to be structured, um, what sort of ownership, is this a limited liability corporation, is it limited liability partnership, is it a sole proprietorship, um, is it a C corp or an S corp? And you don't worry if a lot of these terms sound like nonsense to you. uh, you'll get to where uh, you'll be in a position to answer those questions at a reasonable level. you you're not going to hit all of these right on, and there's no right answer to that necessarily, as long as things are pretty consistent. um, where was I? Stakeholders. Who are your stakeholders? Are you going to have a board of directors? Do you need a board of directors? Is it you and your spouse? Is it whatever? And what about these things that I've talked about many times? What's your professional team look like? Legal counsel, insurance, accounting folks, finance folks, whatever. Then a marketing plan. How do you plan to market your organization? What's the mix of those market segments that you're going to hit, in particular, those market distribution channels, sales management? How about a marketing budget? How does that work? Operational plan. And your operational plan is, so how are you going to make this all work? Day-to-day operations of your company. How are you going to make this stuff work? What sort of personnel do you need in the company? Now you should talk about, we're going to subcontract for these things and these things. This is what we need, the actual employees, if you will, of the company. What about facilities that you might need, technological resources, hardware, software? What about your supply chain? Where are you going to get your materials? How are you going to plan for your materials? What are your implementation timetables? Really is kind of a twofold thing. One is actually developing your product or service that's at work, and also implementing the development of the company. So there's part of this, the operational plan will be more focused on getting the job done, and you can discuss implementation timetables from a company perspective, forming the company and getting it moving and everything. Up a little higher up in here, you could put that in the business description or the management plan. Okay, and then a financial plan. Where are you going to get your money? How are you going to get your money? What's the timing of which you get your money? Are you going to borrow money? Do you have an angel investor, someone who's willing to put money forward? What about some income projections? We looked at pro forma financial statements. Maybe develop some pro forma financial statements. Break-even analysis. When are you going to break even with this puppy, right? How are you going to how much business do you need to make it a profitable business? And so also what it would be good to address in these is all the local, international, global, whatever applies to your company, those dimensions of the business that affect the area, the segment that you're in, the business that you're in. Okay. Now, all of these, you could put this together pretty quick, and probably if you do, your grade won't be very, very good. You're probably ultimately, remember, we have 5 weeks, approximately 4 weeks, 5 weeks left in the semester. I did something maybe on the last video, something counting up how much time, how much hours, homework you would be working on and project you'd be working on. I'd give each one of these about at least 4 hours of time, and maybe 5 or 6, because this is worth a very good chunk of your grade. And so these are important to do. Now, we're going to talk about all these elements in class. So to provide a little bit more meat for these bones that I presented here, and there'll be some slides on those things, so that'll give you some additional information as well. But all of these elements are things that you would have to consider in building your own firm. So that's that's going to be the contents of your business plan. You know, if you are fortunate enough to have some place to go over Thanksgiving, now 2 components of this are going to be well, I'll talk about that in a minute, but you might get some great input from family or friends over Thanksgiving on some of this. It'll help you polish up your document and put it to bed at the end of the semester. So let's talk about what the due dates are, and they're right here. What is due and when? Okay, November 16th, that's a Monday, and that's a little over a week from when I'm making this video, and it's about a week, 5 days after your last homework assignment. Now, I beat on that homework assignment and said, don't wait till the last minute. It's not overly difficult, but it's something you don't want to wait on. I would imagine that a majority of you have waited. So that's going to take away from time working on this, but well, due Monday at midnight, November 16th, are sections 1 through 3 of those things we just discussed. So what are those? That's the business description, industry analysis. You did a company analysis, so it's a little bit like that, similar. And you have, from the PowerPoint that I presented in the previous video, you have some links that will help you along that, and management plan. Now, you should be able to rough out an outline, and I would recommend that you do this in outline form first. You should be able to rough out an outline of these things pretty quickly. I mean, 2 or 3 hours, you should have a reasonably cogent and detailed outline that you can then build on and add beef to that outline as you go. Okay, now due a week later, this is after the Thanksgiving holiday has begun. I wanted to give you the weekend there before it was actually due. So so it's due November 23rd. That's the Monday of Thanksgiving week. You can turn it in early. You are welcome. I will never turn away anyone turning work in early. So if you'd like to turn it in early, you're welcome to do that. And this is going to cover sections 4 through 6. That's the marketing plan and the operational plan and the financial plan. So the first 3 are getting the company up, the guts of the company, the structure of the company, all those things. And now the second 3 are actually the functional aspects of making the company work: the marketing plan, the operations, and the finances. So those 3 segments are due at midnight on November 23rd. Okay, now after Thanksgiving break will be your oral presentation. This will be very brief, and brief doesn't mean easy, as I'll talk more about here in just a little bit. But it will be your oral presentation, about 5 minutes. And this is your, kind of your elevator pitch, right, for your company in presentation form. This is getting in front of, who are they? The Shark Tankers, right? And they give even less time sometimes. But you're in the Shark Tank and you are making your pitch, and you want to make it as strong as possible. That's what this oral presentation is. Now, Mitch and I are discussing how exactly we're going to do this with the online nature of our class. And this very well could be a presentation in class, and this could be you just submitting an oral presentation on video. We don't know yet, but I do know that when we grade these, you will also have the responsibility of grading a few other oral presentations. So part of your grade on your oral presentation will be your assessment and performance of the oral presentations of other students. So we're going to have some peer evaluation that you conduct, and that people will be conducting for you, and that will also be included in your oral presentation grade. Okay, then Tuesday, December 8th at midnight. So this is after Thanksgiving break. You come back, we have a week, and then we have one more class period on December, I don't remember if it's December 8th. I think it is December 8th is our class. And midnight that night, you have your final complete business plan, including the executive summary. And the executive summary is, remember, that's the kind of the elevator speech, the pitch, the 1 page or less summary of what your business plan is. Okay, so that's the plan. And as usual, I'm just running along. So that's the plan. Now what I'd like to do is stop sharing the plan. You may still have some questions that I may yet answer here. And now I want to look at my expectations for your performance. And I have to get there. There we go. So business plan expectations. You should use research. You have to go out there and grab some information. You have to go out there and get data on the industry, some marketing data. How are you going to know how much your marketing is going to cost if you don't gather some data? You should cite all the sources that you use. IEEE format for citations, I understand, is what's used for you guys, and so that's what we're going to use, IEEE format. Frankly, if you deviate from that, if you're consistent, I'm okay. If you want to use footnotes, you're welcome to use footnotes. If you just want to have a reference list at the end and a bibliography, that's fine too. But use proper formatting for those things. Use figures and images and tables as you need to. The more you include, probably the better it is. Make sure if you have figures that you reference them in the text of your document. I am a stickler for English writing. I would like to, I fancy myself an expert. Reality sinks in. I know I'm not. There are some things that I'm pretty good at. But I'll be looking for good English construction in your document, proper sentence structure, spelling. I'm big on spelling and punctuation. Those are two of my biggies. Grammar, tone of speech, use active voice when you can, please. And that's most everywhere. You can do that. Typically write in third person is appropriate just because that's what gets done. I believe really in that first person is okay in business constructs, but write in third person is appropriate. If you can't find a way, it's just too stilted that way. Be consistent with your first person writing. Stick with we as opposed to I, if you have, because we're talking about a company here, which by its very nature entails more than one person. edit. If you turn in your first draft, it will be evident and it will not be good. So you should write it and then go back and edit it. Again, I'm no expert, but I know in my writing, I would spend more time editing than writing and cycling through and editing. If you have a good friend, if a good friend could go through and edit, boy, what a wonderful friend that would be, and it would really help you a lot. Number your pages, use headers, sections, subsections as appropriate to guide the reader. You know, when you do that, you want to make this as easy for Mitch and for me to read as possible. And so the more structure you can put, and the better you write, and the better you edit, the easier it will be for us to read. So the goal will be to complete these first two sections, part one, perfectly, so you have less cleanup and work to do before you submit the final thing at the end. If you work very hard on this first part, you'll work less hard cleaning it up after Thanksgiving. So this is half the total points. The part one are the first two turn-ins, and that's half the total points. The score can go up if you take what you've done and continue to refine it and edit it, and perhaps you might mold some new things into there. So you can improve it by what you do for your final document that you turn in. Now, what's not stated here is how long, how many pages do I want? And I would say, I'm not saying, I would imagine that you could write 2 or 3 pages for some of these sections, maybe more, maybe 5 pages for each of these 6 segments that you're going to turn in. Not necessarily, some of these might be more brief. It will take more time to make it better and shorter. Once again, if you think of Mitch and me, we would prefer them to be quite short, and yet they need to contain all the critical elements of a business plan. So I can say, don't be repetitive, don't be verbose, be cogent and concise and to the point. Use ordinary common words. Don't use big words when don't use a $10 word when a 10-cent word will do. And you want to put, using the same analogy, you want to put a $10, a $100 idea in a very brief sentence. You don't want a $1 idea in a very long sentence. That's not what we're shooting for here. So I am not going to dictate a page limit either on the low end or on the high end. But I will say the more you write, if there's not a real good purpose for that content, then you're likely making it too long. So let's stick with that. One last thing I want to share with you in this video, and that is what the rubric looks like. This is how we will score your business plan. And I need to get there so I can see it. Okay, you can see the rubric here, and I'm not gonna talk about this, except I will post it, and you can see here the points for each one of these items in the 6 different areas. Now, remember the quality of your writing. These are the maximum points you can get if your writing is excellent. As your writing degrades and is not up to snuff, your grammar's poor, your punctuation stinks, you all those things, these scores will be reduced accordingly. So it also could be that I will come up with a total, and then if your writing is generally, I may give a score that's generally your writing score that will be a reduction from the 70. Something came through my mind, I'm sorry, and it escaped me. Flashed right through. It does that all the time. So there's your rubric, and this is how we'll be assigning scores for your business plan. Okay, that's it for this video. Let me see if there's anything else on looking at my list here. Again, the more detail on the oral presentation is forthcoming once Mitch and I can determine, at least between ourselves, the best way that we perceive would be to handle the oral presentations. Okay, that's it. This is a lot to swallow. I know this is a lot to swallow. You might want to look at, I know you don't like seeing me, but you might want to look at this video a couple of times. And I would, I'm going to implore you, I would even encourage you to carry, or if you don't carry around, I don't know how you use your electronics. Some of you will have iPads and you take all your notes on an iPad. Some of you have notebooks, you just handwrite them. Whatever it is you do, I would encourage you to have that with you. And I would encourage you to start today. And to start today, just to put down ideas, just dump ideas, dump them all down there, everything you can think of, dump your ideas. And they say William F. Buckley, who is an amazing writer, he would always have a legal pad with him. And he's a rich guy, and he was always chauffeured around. So he was always writing, no matter where he was going. He was always writing. And if you don't start, this is going to creep up on you really, really quick. And all of a sudden you're going to notice that you're rushing through things way too much. And when you rush through things, the quality of your work goes down, and the quality will be reflected in your grade. And again, I really, deep in my heart, think that this exercise, if you put into it what you could, this could be a really important exercise for you to go through. So start today. How about this? Start today, don't delay. And I'll see you in class, and I'll hit on this every day, actually, and we'll be presenting some information in class more about some of these elements of the plan. So I will see you whenever I see you in the next video.